It looks so much different. This is me right here. 4035 Bamberger. I always loved our block, man. This was, we didn't have, I mean, we had a fair amount of kids on our group, or in our block, but I just loved that, like, we had this canopy of trees that ran down the whole deal. This was a kid named Kirk Raymond's house. He was several years older than me. He was in Christy Roberts' class, so she would know Kirk. But we would have these games of war, and on this lawn right here, we would throw out, there was this, like, just old cantankerous dude. His name was Earl. And we would throw out all of our guns, all of our fake toy guns, hundreds of guns on his lawn here. And every kid from like 10 blocks around would come out, and we would like draw straws to pick which guns you got, and we'd run around the neighborhood playing war, capture the flag, something like that. And it was fucking awesome, man. So he was pretty cool. Earl was pretty cool. He was kind of strict, but he was pretty cool. And then we had these Vietnamese people that moved in here. They probably still live here, so I won't speak too ill of them. But I'm pretty sure they're the reason my dog ran away, because the fucking fireworks, non-stop. Oh, just non-stop with the fucking fireworks. My dog Sassy ran away because of them.
All year round fireworks?
But it was like, it was fucking, you know, not to be right, it was like Chinese New. Oh, they don't live here anymore. You know how I know? Because there used to be 150 pairs of shoes on this front porch, because there were, she still lives here, Steve. She's got to be 190 million years old.
Is that the car?
No, this house right here across the street. Let me just show you, bud. This right here is Gina's. This right here was Gina's house. Okay. This was the house that you could not lose a ball in. Couldn't lose.
I don't know how you get a ball in.
You couldn't. Well, like my buddy Jordan lived directly across the street from me, so we'd be playing in his backyard. But like, this was the place where, I don't know if she still lives here, but all that ivy and everything, it used to be nothing but plastic, flowers, and like, it was the craziest shit you'd ever seen. My buddy Jordan lived right over here. The Weisses, a few of them are in the group, they lived right here. This is where I honed all my basketball skills, in their backyard in the driveway over here. Buddy Kyle might actually still live here, I don't even know. But you can probably see that old, nope, they took it down, hoop's gone. But this is where this is where it happened, bud. This is where it happened, and it looks so much different. This is me right here. 4035 Bamberger. We used to have two big Bradford pears that were right here. Those are gone, and then there was a super tall evergreen that sat right here in the corner of the steps. And let me tell you something about those steps. These steps right here, look at this masonry, okay? Best step ball steps in all of South City. I don't know if you guys got down on step ball too much in your neighborhood, but to explain it to our friends, maybe not from the area, we play with mostly with a tennis ball. You can play with a racquetball. Yeah, racquetball wasn't bad either. But you take your ball, and you run up and you throw it against the steps. You're trying to hit it across the street for a home run. If it gets past you, it's basically Indian ball. You know, sometimes we could throw in doubles and triples, but I've hit plenty of bombs onto the porch over there. It was great. It was a one-way street.
Is that Merrimack right there?
Yeah, no, that's Merrimack, and then we have Alberta at that end. And so it's a one-way street, and we'd set up our goals right here. Actually, about where you're standing is where I beat Josip Tomas racing from Amberg Park. This is where all the friends are sitting on the lawn over here at Jordan's house. They're sitting on the lawn at my house. I'm peeling down in my little Diamondback Outlook, and I'm going to show off for him, give him a little endo. At about 25 miles an hour, I'd lock up that front brake. My face drug from about here to about right here. Peeled my chin off. But that was the jam, dude. Like, there was this kid that lived in this house right over here on the other side of the Weisses. And nobody really knew him, but he wrestled this big piece of foam all the time. He was aspiring to be a pro wrestler or something, so he'd give it the fucking clotheslines, and give it suplexes and shit. Didn't talk to any of us, never wanted to play or anything. He was an interesting cat. And I remember when his dad came home with a Chrysler LeBaron, I thought they were millionaires because he had a convertible. I was like this big. Right here was like, the dad lived on one side, This guy was great. His name was Schmitty. He was fucking awesome. And we had a gal. The first dude that lived there was Joe Zaruba, and he was the shit. He was this old fucking like world-class archer. And before he died, he gave us like all these badass old recurve bows and shit like that. Super cool dude. After he died, this gal moved in, and she, like, this was the mid 90s. So like she was like, she was the Pam Anderson. She was on that train, right? Like fucking hot pants, fucking bolt-ons, man. Like I remember when she first moved in, like, we don't get that many of those in this neighborhood. She was trash, but she was hot trash. Smitty lived here, and then these two were super cool. The dad lived downstairs, his son lived upstairs. He drove a Ford Ranger Splash, and like he was like, I remember he won like 30 grand. He had, and his was red with all the orange. Yeah, it was dope. And then this is where I met my best friend forever. This is Justin Nashevsky's in the group. This is where his grandma and grandpa lived, right here. And in that garage, that was our tinkering garage, buddy. We did everything in there. I told you about how we made the bottle rocket. The bottle rocket war took place back there. That little, where's it at? Where's it at? That little fucking scar right there. That's from a bottle rocket. Just get me right in the titty. That got me good. This was awesome, dude. There's this really cool Spanish family that lived here. And man, we ran the roost. Like it, you know, we were down here. There was there was some older gals that, like, you know, we would, being the Boy Scouts that we were, we'd come down, mow their lawn or whatever. My buddy, another kid named Jordan moved in at the very end of the block. And they were like this family that just had their shit together, you know, and like all the kids were like, yes sir, no sir. They were so I remember when they moved in, they were like from a fucking different planet. They were so smart and talented and everything, you know. Super cool. So yeah, totally classically trained, and like, what the fuck, like, yeah, it was nuts. So,
and they could also hit your best pitch too.
No doubt.
They can still do that.
No doubt. Yeah, well, like that was the deal. I was like, I was the fastest kid on this straight, for sure. And like from this street. Okay, and then this fucking guy shows up, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm more coordinated and better than you at everything, but you're a little faster. Fine. Fine. So I only walk you to the end of the block because this house right here, and actually JoJo, Mike's wife, she'll recognize this house here because her uncle lived right here. So on Memorial Day at Resurrection, that was our parish picnic. But this house right here is where my best friend Zach and John Paul and Justin, whose grandparents lived there, this is where they all ended up living. They moved down here. It was like Brady Bunch coming together. Ian, who we went to the El Monstero show with, he lived here. That's also coincidentally the first place that I ever got high.
Right there, huh?
Right there, that spot right there. In the back, little white like aluminum shed, like we were huddling in there in the backyard of there, and like.
Which direction?
Okay. Resurrection's behind it. All right, so we're back here at Kirk Raymond's house where we played war, right? Well, this garage was one of the jails, right, for one of the teams, right? I got handcuffed inside of that garage. They handcuffed me to a table, all right? I don't know how I did it, but I collapsed my wrist and I squeezed my, the Vietnamese definitely don't live here anymore. Squeezed out of there, and I got out, like I was so happy to report back to my team, let them know. But the Vietnamese are definitely not still here because they used to have these little kiddie pools. And they put a privacy fence on our house, which that wasn't there. We had a chain link fence, but they had like little kiddie pools that they grew rice in. And these are the apartments right here where Bruce, the kid with the lady fingers, this is where he lived, the Romanian kid. All right, so back here, this is the back of my house right here, just to kind of go over. Had a little galvanized pool. It was a real fucking party.
Privacy fence?
No, it was just a chain link job there. Had the little had a little galvanized pool. And this right here, in that upper right left corner, that's the house. That's where I was born. I'm not in there, but that was the first home that my mom and dad took me home to. So I grew up in this apartment here, or this 4-family flat on hydraulic, and then when we moved right across the alley to 4035 Bamberger. Yeah. So anyway, we're going this way. This is these apartments were always like, they were right next to us. I didn't know like anybody that ever lived in these, except for that Romanian kid, Bruce. But I can't tell you how much time I spent like in this little gangway. Like this was kind of the cut through to school, right? So like just run down here. It was great for playing war or whatever. Like it was our little hang, man. Totally. So this is the parking lot for KC's. It used to be a filling station. You were talking about riding bikes and having a place to ramp off. The parking lot used to curve up onto Kurt's grass, just like that, and it was fucking awesome. But then coming out here, this is Resurrection, right across the street. So this is where fucking all of us went, you know. But same type deal, right? Like I could get up if school started at 7:30. I could leave at 7:28 and be in my desk, you know, no big deal. I was changing the flag out here when my grandma had her heart attack in '96. My dad resuscitated her while he was driving, took her to Election Brothers right down the road. So like my lifelong dream is to buy this place. Like I'm still planning on buying it. I'll make a house of it, whatever. We always give it a little homage whenever we have fuzzball tournaments or whatever. We call our team the Hydraulic Street Lumber Company. That right there across the way was like a little senior center. And this is our church, dude. In our church, I had no idea how dope this church was because it was just our church. Like it was just what was regular for us.
I remember thinking how different yours was.
It's super modern, it's super contemporary, and even to this day, like we did Dad's funeral there. We got permission from the Vietnamese. There was a hostile takeover with the Vietnamese.
Yeah, this one?
They took things over. They came in, they took it over, and they've even changed it again since the last time I've been here. Vietnamese have like a distinctly different Jesus and Mary and everything. This one, it used to be a little walk-through garden where their Mary had like fucking like really like drag makeup. I cannot believe this, but this tree right here we buried this tree. There was a kid named Ernie Sharoni, and he and his dad and his brother were hit by a train. Ernie was the only one that didn't live. And so we had this whole dedication ceremony. I came out here. Ernie would have been in 8th grade that year, which would have made me like in 1st grade, maybe kindergarten. And we planted this tree, and it was like this little seedling right here. And now it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, Ernie J. Scaroni.
Is it over there?
Yeah.
There you go.
1990.
There you go. Yeah, I would have been in 1st grade.
It's a monster.
It was just a little seedling that they put in the deal. That's where I was baptized. Like this was our baptismal. So it was like they don't even use it anymore, but it's really cool. Like they have this, huh?
Lit up from the outside.
Well, yeah. That was all stained glass in there, and then there's in the middle of it is like the basin that they do the baptism in. It's super dope.
Yeah, I bet pagans never built anything like that.
No, not at all. Well, and actually, what's interesting about that. And I got the deal somewhere, but it's actually the clacker on the bell. The church is in the shape of a bell from up top. So if you look at it, that's just the thing that swings in between the bell. And I didn't know a lot of this shit until I was, way older.
So if you look at it from like a GPS satellite view or whatever.
Yep. Oh, we'll pull it up. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's cool.
That's the Hayflinger's house down there. Yep, totally. Yeah, we can just do a circle around and then we'll go in. But yeah, like that's the convent over there, which is hilarious.
Like a different color, like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know how it has like the different tone of brick.
No doubt.
And your church being like, is that really their church?
Yeah, like it doesn't have a steeple, or it does, but like nobody ever saw the steeple.
Yeah.
Which is a funny story about that. It's really cool. When Father Wersch came here, he told this story at my dad's funeral. I never knew anything about it, but. The bells weren't working, and he's like, he's talking to Mel, who was like the school custodian, and he wanted to get it working. They dove into the history, and when this church was built, the priest that was taking it over, St. Anthony's had been built like 10 years before, and they boasted about having the tallest steeple in Dutchtown. And so they built this one 6 feet taller just to be able to say that Resurrection had, which was just, the beginning of, all of the other times that, the beginning of all the, all the times that Resurrection dominated St. Anthony's in just about everything. So this right here, this is Grand Central Station for every kid who went to Resurrection. They know this house. This is Ray Hayflinger's house. Ray and Connie Hayflinger, Chad, Trey, Jamie, and Tara. This is where we made it all happen, dude.
Where your school picnic, this is where
so the school picnic was all throughout the church parking lot back here. So everybody was partying at the Hayflinger's house every year.
That,
so where we went before, where I was telling you that JoJo would recognize the house, my best friend's house, that for me would be like the north side of the party, and then the real party was over here. And there was always some people hanging out at the Wankers or the Trumpers or whatever. But this, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there next. But this was the yard that we flooded. There used to be a giant pool, but we flooded this side of the yard to play hockey when we saved that girl's life. When Wayne saved that girl's life. I tasted my first cigarette, posted behind this little. We were fucking young little badass little kids. This is the churches. This is this right here is the rectory.
Yeah.
And then down there they had like a little food deal, and then we probably still see them, but they let us paint bases on the parking lot back here. So it was a perfect little diamond. It was a nice little setup, dude. We played football out here every day. We'd have a end zone here, end zone here. The only dream I ever died in. Oh. So right now we're in an alley behind the Hayflinger's house, and so these were kind of the boundaries of our. There's a debate here. There's a debate as to what is the longest fuzzball home run hit by someone in our class. Joe Easy once parked one as a lefty on top of the garage. Okay, I as a righty hit that dumpster.
That's further.
It's further because it's fucking math. All right. It's guys. That's a bomb, bud. Now I don't know where it went. He might have lost it over the top of it.
But that's
it's a bomb.
Monster.
Listen, that's a bomb. I'm not taking away from anybody.
That's a bit like he's got to get it high enough to get it over that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think that his, no doubt.
You hit that dumpster.
That dumpster.
The
dumpster further. Anyway, so we showed you the gal's house. All she ever wanted us to do, and dude, it's crazy to see the neighborhood just like overgrown and kind of all crazy, because like there were these old pockets of older people that really just were holding shit down and holding it together. It looks like they got rid of our bases, which is punishable by jungle warfare. Anyway, so yeah, you're heading down towards home plate. This right here was the mound. They must have, they resurfaced it. There haven't been any kids playing here for a while, but about right here is your mound. You're standing about right where home plate was. All the gals would go up to the corner store. They'd get us sandwiches, and they'd come out here and they'd get their nails done, right? So we put on a whole deal. We built a handmade scoreboard. We made an actual Gold Glove award. Ray helped us. Spray foam, fucking painted it gold. We had the whole nine, dude. I had a dream. The only dream I ever died in was right here. I died right here. We were playing football like we always did. I go up to jump up to catch a ball, and this is how unrealistic it is. I go to jump up, buddy runs into me, smashes my head into the corner of the bricks there, and as soon as I fall, boom, this stairway to heaven drops out of the sky right by the garage up there, and so I was just like, oh.
Try to jump that high.
And no, I'm not trying anything. I mean, back in the day, I could have got up there, maybe. Maybe. But this dude here, the poor bastard, we had he's in the power alley. He's in the power alley. So we were peppering his fucking house with bombs all the time. J-Rob one time, no bullshit, J-Rob one time hit a ball over this dude's house, which is a real respectable shot. And he didn't, that happened often, it happened a few times, but because the porch was so short, we never thought like it was a bomb like on those levels, because that's fucking forever up there. J-Rob hit it over this dude's house, never opened his eyes once. From the time the pitch was coming to the time it went over, he just closed and prayed, and he fucking hit a bomb like I'd never seen.
He just felt it or heard it?
I think he was just afraid of getting hit with it, so he closed his eyes and hit it. I don't know. Anyway, all right, so yeah, so the school picnic covers this whole deal.
That's what
Memorial Day.
plays back for me.
Memorial Day, this is where the whole thing was, and then that was where like we would have the young kids would have recess on this parking lot, and then the older kids, 6th grade and up, would have recess on the cage parking lot, which now when we think about it, that's kind of crazy. So the Wankers house, they actually still live there, Ken and Jude. It's the house right here on the corner. We can totally do it. So you were talking about the factory. This is probably what brings you into the neighborhood.
Yes, this is what I remember most about your neighborhood.
So I think Amy Arnett was just added to the group not that long ago. She grew up in this house. She was from, dude, there's the brickwork on all these houses are the shit. Like the house, if you look straight down to the end, right down this block, if you look straight down to the end, at the very end there, that's Joe Weezy's house.
Oh, nice.
You know, the Earharts live right here. They're in the page. Danielle Pennington, Becky Isley. She's always pretty busy on the page. But yeah, I mean, this was like home number 2 for me. You know, the Wankers house. Me and Wayne were real tight.
Being a kid, I didn't realize how close it was to everything. I mean, you guys.
No doubt.
There, like,
No doubt. Yeah, we were all connected by, you know, just real close to one another. I mean, you know, oh, looks like they're selling it. Dude, I think Wayne already told me that, but that right there is like, they're the last hangers on of the resurrection crowd, you know. I think they did it for as long as they could, you know. But I've had more fun in that garage, in that backyard, and especially in that basement.
Oh, dude, saw Monty Python for the first time in that basement.
Watched Super Troopers in that basement. Fucking cried my eyes out laughing. And then yeah, so we get down here to this is Bingham. So you were talking about the factory noises. I can't tell you how many nights I sat up, you know, just drunker than Cooter Brown, and just listened to the steam whistles, you know. This,
hear it right now, maybe not
yeah, a little bit, but yeah, it's just a slow hum.
Yeah.
And like we didn't, you know, Wayne's house was definitely the boundary. Like we didn't really travel that way too much, but down here it dead ends at like it doesn't dead end at Western Bowl. There's like a paper factory that's now like U-Haul. But like we would go down to Western Bowl, go bowl, and I bought my first beer ever there. I was like 15 years old. Bought this new beer called Schlafly, and like it was fucking great. Yeah, man. Like this is the old neighborhood. This is the kind of the south end of it. Like we would go up that way a little bit towards St. Mary's. There's more kids that lived over there. Like you were saying, J-Rob, Brian Freezy lived over there. And the boundary goes the other way a little bit. I think we should do this series, and we'll just do episode 2. Tell some, you know, some more funny stories from here. But it's home, man.